Hey everybody, welcome back to the warbossfitz channel, and today we're going to go back into the game of Grimdark Future to look at one of the other armies, but first, a word from our sponsors. Fleet Admirals, Generals, your reinforcements have arrived. At PrintedStarships.com, you will find high-quality 3D printed starships and sci-fi armies ready for deployment. Whether you're commanding fleets in Star Wars or Armada, dogfighting in X-Wing, battling in one-page rules war fleets, or leading ground forces in grimdark future, we've got the precision-crafted models you need to seize victory. Use code warbossfitz for 15% off your order. That's printedstarships.com. Prepare to take command of the tabletop. So today we are going to be looking at the Goblin Reclaimers. This is a new, well, relatively new army. When the Orc Marauders army came out late last year, they split the Orcs and Goblins apart. So the Goblins got their own army to play with. So let's take a look at their stuff. Starting off with the army-wide special rule, they have Mischievous. When attacking, targets must reroll unmodified defense rolls of 6 when blocking hits from this model's weapon. So this is, it's Bane, except, it doesn't ignore regeneration, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice to make the entire enemy army reroll 6s, especially when you get some stuff that's AP 4. Is it in the army? I don't know. We're going to have to see. So for the special rules, let's go ahead and look at some of these things here. Bounding, when this unit is activated, you place all models with this rule anywhere fully within 1d3 plus 1 of their position. So usually this is for cavalry units that aren't quite fast, but this might make them fast. I don't know. It's kind of let you randomize some of your more interesting cavalry. Dangerous terrain debuff. Once per activation before attacking, pick one enemy with an 18, which must immediately take a dangerous terrain test. When you're playing a Havoc Brother army, you pretty much spam this out, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But this is real interesting. Dangerous terrain means the enemy rolls a dice for every toughness they have, and if they roll a 1, they just take a wound. So this is a good ability to plink away wounds on units, but it is really good on tougher models, because they're always going to roll their toughness value, regardless of how many wounds they've already taken. So if we can get enough of this in the army, things can start rolling downhill real fast on tough stuff. Good shot. This model gets +1 to hit rolls when shooting. The whole Goblin army kind of has a baseline of 4 up to hit, and so the stuff that's like quality 5, that's what's going to have good shots, just to make up for it. Instinctive. When this model is activated, if it's able to shoot or charge an enemy unit, then it must immediately attack the closest valid targets and get +1 to hit for that attack. So this, I really like using Instinctive on melee models, stuff that doesn't have a shooting weapon, because if you do have a shooting weapon and somebody is standing inside that shooting range, you're not allowed to move before this happens. So it'd be a real pain in the butt if you got like a little one-shot 12-inch pistol, but you have all your melee weapons, but oh no, I can't charge him, I must shoot. So just keep that in mind when we see it. Piercing Shooting Mark lets you give out an 18-inch token, which gives AP +1 when you're shooting at something. Redeployment. After all other units are deployed, excluding units that were set aside like Ambush or, I believe, Scout. Scout, I think you set those aside before this would happen. So yeah, so before scouting and before ambush, this unit, they get to get picked up and put right back down again. So obviously this is going to be a hero ability because you get to do it with 2 units. Sometimes it's going to be to your advantage, sometimes maybe not. So this is going to be a situational ability. Retaliate. When this model takes a wound in melee, the attacker takes X number of hits. So it'll say like Retaliate 1 or Retaliate 2 or Retaliate 3. That's your X number of hits. Shred. We've seen that before. Skewer. This is the Goblin weapon special rule. Ignores cover, and against units where most models have toughness 3 to toughness 9, this weapon gets deadly 3. So this is going to be good for going after lighter tanks and your tough elite units. And Unpredictable Fighter. When in melee, roll 1 die and apply 1 effect. On a 1 to 3, they get AP +1. On a 4 to 6, they get +1 to hit instead. So there are some cool combinations we can do here. If you have a full melee squad and you give them unpredictable fighter plus instinctive, you can possibly get +2 to hit. Using skewer on something you put a piercing shooting mark on be rather effective. But we'll see what the different units have, and we'll talk about it when we get there. Next, we have the Aura special rules. These are for your heroes. First, we got Courage Aura, +1 to morale. Melee evasion, the unit gets melee evasion, which is enemies are -1 to hit in melee. Mischievous boost aura, this causes the enemy to have to reroll 5s and 6s for their armor saves. Precision fighter aura, +1 to hit in melee. Quick shot aura, which means the unit gets quick shot, which means you can move your full distance and still shoot. And regeneration aura, this unit gets regeneration. And then we have spells. Let's look at the offensive ones. Pick one enemy within 12, which takes 2 hits with AP1 and Surge. So if you roll 6 to hit with this, it's +1 hit. Boom. Pick one enemy unit with an 18, which takes 2 hits with Blast of 3. So that's a pretty good anti-horde shooting. And pow. Pick one enemy unit within 6. They take 3 hits with AP2 and Skewer. This is real nice if you're fighting something that has toughness 3, like a squad of 3 guys that have toughness 3. Hit them with this, it's AP2, and everything that they fail kills somebody. Alright, let's look at the buffs and debuffs. For 1, we have ammo boost. You get mischievous boost, where the enemy rerolls 5s and 6s. For a 2, we have mob frenzy. Pick 2 enemies with an 18. Friendly units get AP +1 when they shoot them. And Shroud Field for 3, pick up to 3 friendly units within 12, which get +1 to defense rolls 1 time, or the next time they get shot at. Ammo Boost and Mob Frenzy here, I think, are real good buffs for the army. Shroud Field, I mean, you're goblins. Your defense kind of sucks already. So I think the best defense for this army is to just not get shot. When a unit gets shot at, just accept that they're probably going to die. And just, again, you're playing goblins. It's just something you're going to have to just deal with. So that's it for the spells, special rules, and all kinds of other fun stuff. Let's get into the army itself. So here we are in the Army Forge. We're going to start off with the first character on the list, which is the Death Walker Champ. Yup, this guy is awesome. He's a 4-3, quality 4, defense 3, hero, mischievous, and toughness 6. They're all going to have mischievous, so I'm not going to say it every time. Just your whole army has this. Then for weapons, he comes with a rapid rocket launcher, 2 shots at 18, AP2 and deadly 3, and a heavy claw for 6 attacks at AP1. And for the upgrades, you could do melee evasion aura, quick shot aura, mischievous boost aura, redeployment, or caster 2. And yes, you get a little mini dreadnought. He's only toughness 6, so he can be attached to a squad. Then you can replace the rapid rocket launcher with the rapid heavy flamers, 2 shots 12, AP1, blast 3, and reliable. Rapid heavy machine guns, 6 shots, AP1 at 30 inches. Heavy bubble cannon, 1 shot, AP4, blast at 6 at 30. And for the Goblin army, whenever you see something called a bubble cannon, that's just, that's their word for plasma. Then you have a heavy chucker cannon, 8 shots, rending at 24. And you can replace the heavy claws with a heavy saw, 2 attacks, AP2, deadly 3. So this character, you're going to want to base his upgrades on what you're going to put him with. And I think we all know what we want to put him with, so we'll get to that when we get there. Next, we have a killer tank champion. Yes, not only do you get mini dreadnoughts, you get mini tanks as champions who, toughness 6, he can be attached to a squad. Quality 4, defense 3, fast, hero, mischievous, toughness 6. Comes with a rapid rocket launcher, 2 deadly 3 to 18, and 2 attacks from its crew. Then we have the melee evasion, quick shot, mischievous boost, redeployment, and caster 2. And you can replace the rocket launcher with rapid heavy flamers, rapid heavy machine guns, heavy bubble cannons, or heavy chucker cannon. So these 2 characters here, the Deathwalker Champ and the Killer Tank Champ, these being in the list, this gives so much fun in the army. Just having squads of tanks and walkers. Again, we all know where the killer tank champion is going to go, so talk about it when we get there. And then we got our little goblins. Starting off the boss champ, 35 points, quality 4, defense 5, hero mischievous toughness 3, 2 shots with a pistol at 12, and 2 attacks in close combat. Again, we have the same upgrades here, the same auras. You replace the pistol with dual killer claws to give you 4 attacks with rending. And since this is the first time we've run into it with a melee weapon, let me just say, having mischievous and rending on your weapons it's just a combo that makes me smile. I'll just say that. If I roll a 6 to hit you, you save on a 6. Oh wait, you have to re-roll that anyways. And then for his pistol upgrades, we could do a bolt smasher pistol, AP 4, 1 shot at 6 inches with skewer. Chakra pistol 9 inches, 2 shots with rending. Flamer pistol 6 inch, A1 blast 3 reliable. Bubble pistol or plasma pistol, 1 shot AP 4 at 12. Boss carbine 2 shots at 18. Or boss shotgun 3 shots AP 1 at 12. And then if you take a carbine, then you can put a mod on it, just like one of the Battle Brothers. You can do a bolt smasher, bubble chucker, or a flamer mod. This gives you 1 shot of that weapon. With the limited there, you get to fire it 1 time. So if you find yourself in a bind, you've got something more in your toolbox to throw at them. Then you replace the close combat weapon with a killer hammer for blast 3, a killer sword for rending, a killer saw for deadly 3, or a killer fist for AP 4. And then this is how you get them to synergize with the squads you put them with. Commando leader for scout and strider, scout bike for fast and scout, jetpack for ambush and flying, or a combat bug, 2 attacks with rending, bounding, regeneration strider, and an additional 3 toughness. So it's designed to go into all these different squads with the different stuff, so we'll talk about that. We'll make some squads as we go. Next, we got the champion. We got the little goblin champ. Quality 5, defense 6, hero mischievous toughness 3, 2 shots with a pistol, and 2 attacks in close combat. Has the same auras, right? Oh, one's different. The champion has the precision fighter aura. So if you're looking to make a melee squad, this is the one to go with. Then we have the same option of the killer claws, same options with the guns. You can't take a bolt on with this one. Same options for melee. You can upgrade him with trash goggles. It gives him good shot, which takes his quality up to 4 when he's shooting. So like I said, everything here is kind of a base quality 4 with shooting, but it is good that it's an option, so you can put it on there if you want it. So if this guy was a melee champion, you don't need it. Save you 5 points. And then the same options for upgrades down here. So with that, we are done with our heroes. Let's take a look at some of the core units, and we're going to start off with the shooter mob. 100 points for 10 of them. Quality 5, defense 6, mischievous, 1 shot at 18 and 1 attack in close combat. Now here we have the option for a courage aura or a regeneration aura. And if you double up a squad, or if you combine them, you can take both. Trash goggles for a good shot. Ramshackle crew for instinctive to give them +1 to hit. But remember, if you take this and someone's in range of your guns, you can't move. And you can take up to 2 chakra rifles, bolt smasher rifles, bubble rifles, or flamers. So let's put together a squad. Our shooter mob, they do what they say. They shoot. So we're going to go ahead and give them trash goggles for good shots, making them hit on a 4. And then after that, you can upgrade or replace 2 with scrap guns. I normally would go with flamers, but if you'll notice here, the flamers are real expensive, and I don't want these goblins to get within 12 inches of something, because if they do and something charges them, they're just going to melt. So we're going to go for bubble rifles. So there we go, 140 points, 2 shots AP4, 8 shots AP nothing, all of them hitting on a 4. For the courage and regeneration, okay, this is an idea I have for the goblins. I don't want you to shoot the goblins. I want to have other things on the board. But well, my shooter mob is going to stay safe because they're not going to be the problem. So with that in mind, I wouldn't take either of these. Now, I'm not saying to not take them if you want your shooter mobs to be an aggressive unit. I don't want these to be an aggressive unit because they're they're just going to die. They're defense 6, for God's sakes. Defense 6, even with regeneration aura, you go from it becomes a 6 and then a 5. Yeah, I don't see that being worth 30 points. So if you want to put a character with them, let's build us a wonderful strike package here. We'll take a champion, and we'll give them quick shot aura. This way they can zip around and keep shooting. Then, just to keep parity with the ranges and stuff, we'll do a boss carbine. Don't worry about melee weapons. Trash goggles to get him to hit on a 4. There you go, 205 points. Not bad. It's even cheap enough to 345 if you're having a larger game. This isn't out of the question. I see the shooter mobs in the armies as more of a objective holder, while everything else runs forward and does goblin stuff. So I would just keep them cheap at 140. If anything, I would just take a second squad. This way I can be, double the sneaky. Next, we got Storm Mobs. 115 points for 10 of them. They're again a 5/6 with Mischievous, 1 shot with pistols, and 2 attacks with their close combat weapons. Now, you can upgrade them with Good Shot. Why? I mean, you can, but why? And then we have the Instinctive option here. Again, this comes into a weird place. Here it's a little bit better because your pistols only have 12-inch range, and allegedly you should be able to charge 12, but like if the enemy's inside difficult terrain, you're stuck shooting them. For now. You can replace up to 2 pistols with a chucker, a bubble, a bolt smasher, or a flamer. You can replace 2 more pistols with pistol killer hammer, pistol killer sword, pistol killer saw, dual killer saws, pistol and killer fist. And you can upgrade all of them with a jetpack to give them ambush and flying. 2 attacks apiece at quality 5. Let's make a squad. We're going to completely ignore trash goggles. We're going to do the ramshackle crew. And the reason why we're going to do ramshackle crew is because we're going to put jetpacks on them. So now, with flying, even if you are standing in dangerous terrain or difficult terrain, we don't care. We can still get there. Then we are going to do dual killer claws, because more attacks be more better. And yeah, 180 points for a relatively okay ambushing unit, but we can get better. So here we go. I just kind of sped through that. We have a champion with the Storm Mob. Champion has dual killer claws, and he also has the jetpack, and he gives out the precision fighter aura. So that means it's +1 to hit already. And then Instinctive, whenever they charge something, it's an additional +1 to hit. So your Storm Mobs go from hitting on a 5 to hitting on a 3. 48 attacks, 12 of those are rending. So, I mean, it is 410 points. It is pretty expensive, but 20 goblins dropping down and charging something on turn number 2. This is one of those. This is going to take the pressure off your shooter mobs, because when these hit the ground, they are going to be the whole problem. Next, we have Freaks. Quality 5, defense 6, mischievous and unpredictable fighter. All for 140 points. They have 2 attacks apiece with rending already built in, all for 140 points. You can upgrade them with instinctive and regeneration. And these guys have no shooting weapons. That means that instinctive, we don't really got to worry about the whole being in range of pistols. So bang, on there, 155 points. Now we hit on a 4. And then regeneration. Again, I don't know if this would be good in this big of a brick. But let's build a squad. Alright, so we had to do some weird stuff here. We doubled up the Freaks, and I did give them regeneration. Now, because they have regeneration, that means if I put a champion with them, it also has to have regeneration. Otherwise, this just doesn't work, because every model in the unit has to have it. So in order to do that, we had to take a champion and put him on a combat bug. So here we go. We got 2 rending attacks here. Bounding, regeneration, strider, and toughness +3 with this. And on top of that, I gave him the dual killer claws and precision fighting aura, so everyone gets an additional +1 to hit. So with instinctive precision fighter aura, there's +2, and then unpredictable fighter. This one, not everybody needs it. They have a potential of getting an additional +1 to hit, or AP +1 at this point be pretty good. So you go from a 5 to a 4 to a 3 to a 2 if you roll a 4 to 6. Every attack in here is rending. The enemy has to reroll their 6s. She's pricey at $465, but again, this is another squad that is going to be the whole problem if you let them, or if the enemy lets them, get up and in between and into all their squishy places. Next unit we have our Commandos. They're a 5/6 with Mischievous Scout and Strider. 1 shot at 18 and 1 attack in melee. They have the good shot options. Ramshackle crew for instinctive options. We can replace all the scrap guns with pistols or shotguns. Just, you know me. I see that button, I click it. You could also replace 1 scrap gun with a chucker, bolt smasher, bubble, or a flamer. Replace up to 3 scrap guns with a scrap sniper rifle. And you can give them stealth. So we're at 80 points with the shotguns. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and click on stealth. And good shot here. So for 100 points, you get a scouting unit. It's got stealth. It has Strider. 10 shots, AP 1 to 12 inches. I think that's a pretty good distraction, or a pretty good, shock unit, or something to run out there to grab progressive objectives, or to stop the enemy from starting to score progressive objectives. Try to keep them in a piece of terrain, keep them in some cover or something. Then try to activate these guys last if you're going to grab, objectives from the enemy, or at least contesting stuff on turn 1. Because again, you're only defense 6. Stealth can only help you so much. Once again, you're a goblin. Expect to die. The best defense is just not getting shot. Next, we have a boss mob of goblins, 5 of them for 115. They're a quality 4, defense 5 with Mischievous, 2 shots at 12, and 2 attacks in close combat. You can upgrade them with a courage aura or a regeneration aura. You can replace any boss pistol with a shotgun or a boss carbine. You can replace one of the pistols with a chucker, bubble, bolt smasher, or a flamer. You can take the bolt carbine attachments, and you can replace one of the close combat weapons with a hammer, sword, saw, or a fist. Now, I'm going to say something controversial. I don't like this unit. Not because it's bad on its own, but why would I take a squad of boss mobs for 115 when I can take double the amount of models equaling double the amount of attacks? Yes, it's -1 to hit, quality 5 versus quality 4, but, this is just where my mentality comes in. I'd rather have 20 attacks hitting on a 5 than 10 attacks hitting on a 4. And then even with the shooter mobs, in order to even get them up to the same range as the shooter mobs, you got to be spending 140, where the shooter mobs only spending 100. I would spend the extra 60 on top of that to just get, 20 shooters instead of 5 boss mobs. So I'm not saying this is a bad squad, but in this particular army, I'm going to spend points elsewhere. I'm definitely a boys before toys kind of player. But you might think the other way. That's up to you. Next unit we have are the Scout Bikers. 5 of them for 70 points. They're quality 5, defense 6, fast, mischievous, and scout. We got 1-shot pistols and 2 attacks in close combat. You can upgrade them with the trash goggles for good shot. You can replace one of the pistols with the usual chucker, bubble, bolt smasher, or a flamer. And you can replace one pistol and close combat weapon with a pistol and hammer, sword, saw, or a fist. So this is a case of, I like the idea of goblins on bikes. It's just funny. But I really wish they would do more than just have pistols. I mean, true, you can replace one of the pistols with, if I had to, I would do the bubble pistol. I mean, they are cheap. It's only 75 points at this point. Then give them the good shots, because if you want to hit with them, why not? It's just an additional 5, so 80 points. If I was looking for a unit to just pad out numbers for activations, this would definitely be one of them. But defense 6. Again, your best defense is to just not get shot. So this unit will definitely be one of those units that hides until turn 3 or 4 and then runs out and being sneaky and contesting stuff. Because as far as combat ability goes, they just don't have it. They got to get within 12 to shoot. True, they do have 2 attacks in close combat, but they don't really have, we would have to put a character in them to get that anything better. And they don't have the instinctive, no, they don't have the instinctive upgrade. Which, if they did, I would consider it, putting it on these guys. But again, for what I want them to do, I mean, commandos might be better. I mean, they're not fast. The bikers are fast. So you do have the ability to reach out and grab stuff the enemy might not think about. But, yeah, I mean, again, I love the idea. I just don't like... I don't want to say I don't like the execution, because I can see what the execution is, because you're just goblins on a Huffy, for God's sakes. So, the goblin bikes, I think, don't have enough ass behind them to be worth anything more than just random activation fodder. But what do I know? I could be wrong. Next unit up are looters, our heavy weapon goblins. 120 points for the squad. You get 3 of them. Quality 5, defense 6, mischievous, and relentless. So if they shoot at something over 9 inches away and they roll a 6, it's 1 extra hit. And they come out the gate with heavy bolt smasher rifles, 1-shot AP4 with skewer. So if you want a elite squad hunting unit, this is it. With that in mind, absolutely take the good shot on those. 35 points, it's worth it. And then you replace the bolt smasher rifles with a heavy flamer, heavy machine gun, chucker cannon, or a bubble cannon to give you blast 3 AP4. That's also an idea. If you're fighting somebody who's bringing like 3-up defense things and they're being cheeky and maxing out their squad sizes, yeah, that could remove some problems. But at that point, 230 points for 3 goblins that are real fragile. I'll stick with the bolt smashers. If there was ever a unit that you wanted to protect by putting them inside of a transport, this is it. Next, we got bug riders. 135 for 3 of them. Quality 5, defense 5, bounding, mischievous, regeneration, strider, and toughness 3. 1 shot at 18, 1 attack and close combat weapon, and 2 attacks each with rending from the claws of the bugs. Now, you can give them good shots. And you can replace the scrap guns with chuckers, bolt smashers, bubble rifles, or a flamer. So, 2 schools of thought here. You can go melee, and you can go a ranged unit, because you can replace any of the scrap guns. So now that we just talked about looters, the bolt smasher rifles, if you take 3 of those, you're at 165. Versus the looters 120. In 165, you get some melee presence, you get toughness 3 on them. Over what I would take the bug riders over the looters. So for that extra 45 points, you get so much more. But you are focusing on the shooting. So yeah, trash goggles is the way to go. It's only 5 points on these, so it makes it an even better investment. So instead of the looters being at 155, yeah, it's only a 15-point difference? I mean, you don't get relentless, but you're going to be bouncing around everywhere with these. Plus regeneration. Plus strider. I think this is really interesting. What else can we do with them? For 125 points, you can put a champion in there that gives them quick shot aura, so you can do all of your bounding and all of your running around and still shoot stuff with your bolt smasher rifles. So that's an interesting idea. You know, fast moving anti-elite units, anti light to medium tanks with the toughness 6 and toughness 9. You go all the way up to toughness 9 with this thing. But let's say you want to have your bug riders be melee. We could do that too. Same thing, we got the champion in there. He has given them the precision fighter aura to get +1 to hit. Now you're all hitting on 4. We took off the goggles, and we got lots of rending attacks. We got 6 rending attacks here, another 6 rending attacks here. It's 12 rending plus an additional 3 the regular bug rider melee weapons. 245, that's not bad, because you got bounding and you got regeneration and you are tough, so you're going to be able to take a hit. Again, defense 5, you won't be able to take many hits, but it's a 5 into a 5, so that equals out to like what, half of your wounds going away. Plus, I really like the way the models look. Unfortunately, every time I do an army that's coming out, I wait till like the last month, and always the unit that I want to put in. I wanted to put bug riders in. They were always the last release, so I already have these guys printed. So unfortunately, no bug riders in the army, which is a bummer because these would have been cool. Next, we have killer tanks. Yes, we have a squad of 3 tanks for 150 points. Quality 5, defense 3. Fast, mischievous, toughness 3. They come with rocket launchers for 1-shot AP2 deadly 3. You can give them the trash goggles, which, of course, you're a tank. You want it. Targeted frenzy for precision shooting mark. Maybe. And you can replace any rocket launchers with heavy machine guns, heavy flamers, chucker cannons, or bubble cannons. And here, I like doing this, just because this is silly. Having my tank squad, 240 points, lobbing out AP4 Blast 3. I mean, the chucker cannon, or just even keeping the rocket launcher on there is a totally viable idea. I just like being silly. I like throwing out massive gobs of plasma whenever I can. And then, of course, we're going to put a killer tank champ in there with them. And then we're going to give it a quick shot aura and give them the heavy bubble cannon for AP4 Blast of 6. So you might overkill stuff more than you normally would, because Blast of 6, if it's a squad of 5, you're not going to ever get all 6 of those to hit. But 440 points. We have fast tanks that are going to be zooming around the board, firing off all of their plasma guns, even though they move fast. This is part 1 of the Goblin silliness rodeo. Let's go ahead and move on to unit number 2. Time for more silliness. The Death Walkers. 3 mini walkers, quality 5, defense 3, mischievous, and toughness 3, all for 165. You get rocket launchers and mini claws for 3 attacks AP1. You can replace any rocket launcher with a heavy machine gun, heavy flamer, chucker cannon, and a bubble cannon. You can give them trash goggles for a good shot. You can replace the mini claws with mini saws for deadly 3, and you can upgrade them with a piercing shooting mark. So let me show you, this is definitely in my army. Let me show you what silliness I did with this. So here we go. We put a Deathwalker champion in there because of course we did. Again, with quick shot, and we gave everybody heavy flamers. So 4 models, we're going to have 5 because each of these have 1 shot apiece. This guy has 2. Moving 12 inches and being able to stick flamers where people don't expect them. You know, it's a 24-inch threat range heavy flamer. It's just, that's just a beautiful thing. Quality 4, quality 5 for shooting. We don't worry about that because all the guns are reliable. Hitting on a 2, 405 points. Again, just silliness. I love it. Now we are into the vehicles, and we're going to start with the one and only light vehicle, which is not a vehicle. It's a bug. The Big Bug. Quality 5, defense 4, bounding, fear of 1, mischievous, regeneration, strider, and toughness 6. Comes with 2 rocket launchers and 2 stomps AP1. You can give it trash goggles for a good shot, and you can replace the rocket launchers with machine guns, flamers, chucker cannons, or bubble cannons. So the Big Bug is nearly exclusively a ranged unit, so the trash goggles, definitely. And then for shooting, rocket launchers, I don't know, if those were rapid rocket launchers, we had 4 shots instead of 2. That'd be nice, but you don't. So Well, even though if you don't, it's only 150 points for this outfit. 2 shots, AP2, Deadly 3, hitting out of 4. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. That's doable. And we're this far down the list, and I haven't really talked about anything I would want to put a deadly weapon on, so maybe I would keep this one with the rocket launcher, just to keep that Deadly 3. So if I had to take one, this is how I would take it. Cheap enough. Next vehicle is the super tank. In other words, about the size of a normal tank for everybody else. Quality 4, defense 2, fast, fearless, impact 6, mischievous, and toughness 12. Comes with a heavy lobber mortar, 1 shot, AP1, blast 6, indirect, and a sponson flamer, 2 shots, blast 3, reliable at 12. Now, you don't have the good shot goggles because you're already quality 4. And you can replace the heavy lobber mortar, which is the first thing I would do, because if you move with this guy, it's only going to be hitting on a 5. So, this heavy tractor beam kind of stands out to me. 4 shots, AP2 with unstoppable. And unstoppable ignores regeneration, and ignores all negative modifiers to hit. Heavy bubble cannon blast is 6. 2 shots with skewer. 8 attacks with rend. These are all pretty good, but I'm going to choose the heavy tractor beam. Just the unstoppable. There's enough stuff in the game now that gives you minuses to hit that unstoppable might come in handy. Then you can replace the sponson flamers with sponson machine guns. I don't know. Hold on a second. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. 30 points, 6 shots versus 2 blast 3 reliables. Yeah, when stuff gets close, because everyone likes to get tanks in melee, the sponson flamers will probably come in handy. And then we got Dozer Blade for Strider, Pintle Gun, 1 shot AP2 at 30. You can give this thing Transport 11, and you can also give it Piercing Shooting Mark. So, if you wanted to keep something protected, like those looters we were talking about, there you go, Transport 11, you can put 3 whole squads in this thing. Pretty much everything that we've talked about, if you wanted to keep it protected, as long as it's not like the Deathwalker. Well, I mean, good lord, even you could put Deathwalkers in this thing. Because toughness 3, you could put killer tanks inside the super tank. You can have Russian nesting doll tanks. Just my mind is saying do it. Just do it for the meme. But okay. If you wanted to have anything that we talked about just be protected for a minute, defense 2, toughness 12, it is one of the beefier tanks. Do transport, stick them in here. I mean, that's about all I can say. This thing is your APC and your battle tank all in one. And then last on the list of Goblin units is the artillery. Quality 5, defense 3, 105 points, artillery, which means you get +1 to hit if you shoot at something over 9 inches away. Mischievous and toughness 3. You start off with a lobber mortar, blast 6 and indirect with 3 attacks from the crew. So, you can put on a heavy bolt smasher cannon, 2 shots AP4 with skewer, heavy tractor beam for 4 shots AP2 and unstoppable, boosted chucker cannon, 6 shots indirect with rending, or a heavy bubble mortar, 1 shot AP4 blast 6 with indirect. And then you have the good shot and piercing shooting mark. So I would, give it the good shot. Now if you're shooting at something over 9 inches away, you're going to be hitting at a 3. And 4 weapons. I like this here. Heavy bolt smasher cannon with a skewer, 2 shots AP4. Yeah, with mischievous, if you fire into anything that's toughness 3 to toughness 9, as long as you hit it, that shot's pretty much going to go through. Because remember, with mischievous, they got to reroll the 6s. An AP4 usually puts you right to a 6. And then, of course, the heavy bubble mortar. Blast 6 at AP4 with indirect. That's just, if I was wanting to be silly, yes. If I wanted to take multiples, I would probably, it's not out of the question to take multiples. So, a couple of these, if you have a sight line or a way to look at an objective, yeah, not out of the question to get 2 of these, to just point at objectives and say, I dare you. So those are all the units of the Goblin Reclaimers. So let's go ahead and hop over to look at what I'm going to be putting together for the games this week. And here we go. Here is my clown car of goblins. We got 2 shooter mobs with bubble rifles and trash goggles for a good shot. We've got a boss champ joined to the storm mob. The boss champ has a jetpack, and I gave him caster 2. And we have a 20-member storm mob squad with jetpacks. We got 4 dual killer claws with instinctive. So whenever they hit the ground, they're going to be charging people. You know, I might change out this caster too. Didn't we look at that? Hold on. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it just for the possibility of getting off a POW on the turn that they drop in. You know, I need something to kill off elite squads because I got a whole bunch of crap here. Next, we have a champion with a combat bug with a precision fighting aura leading 20 freaks with rending claws, rapid mutations for regeneration, and instinctive. So possibly with the unpredictable fighter getting down to 2+ to hit. Everything he's got rending. Then we have our killer tank champion leading the killer tanks. And here we have the rapid rocket launchers. I left the rocket launcher on here with a quick shot aura. And killer tanks with the rocket launchers. So I think I wasn't able to push these up to the plasma because, you know, points. Then we have a Death Walker champ. Joined to the Death Walkers, we got a quick shot with the rapid heavy flamers, and I gave them trash go. See, look at this. I'm finding stuff I spent points on. I didn't need to. So there we go. After that, I was kind of able to square that circle there. We got the Death Walker champ with the Death Walkers with heavy flamers and all that. And I was able to killer tanks. I got 3 of them with bubble cannons. And the killer tank champion, we have the junk tech for quick shots. And I was only able to give him rapid heavy machine guns. So not a full complement of silliness there, but probably good enough. So, guys, I think that will do it for my Goblin Reclaimers video. Remember to check out PrintedStarships.com for 15% off using the code warbossfitz. On Monday, we're going to have a painting stream with these guys, a painting live stream. So if you're watching this in the future, you could just look back to check out what we did. On Wednesday, we're going to have another lore video. And then on Thursday, it will be time for these to throw down against the war demons. So we'll see how that all works out. So that'll do it for me. So that will do it for me tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and like the video. And I hope you guys are having fun playing OPR wherever you are. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.